Yay Networks.
What up, y'all? It's your boy, Cornelius.
Hey, y'all. This is Heather, and welcome to This Is a Life.
Yo.
We love you guys. Just a heads up. Like, we appreciate you always listening, tuning in, listening to the whole podcast. Like, your comments, your feedback. We get so many amazing messages from you guys. And we've been doing this for like maybe 6, 7 years.
A long time.
A long time. So we appreciate our OGs. Like, just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, share this with your cousins, your grandmama and them, just share with somebody. But today, we want to talk about really not changing who you are. So it's this great trend that's going on right now. It's actually been pretty cool. And so the idea is, what have you done in order to change yourself to like get the attention of a crush? So, for example, like a crush told you that he likes straight hair, and then you went and you straightened your hair, and then you sent the picture of yourself like you got straight hair, and then you go back and the crush is like, oh my God, your hair's trash, and like that buries you. You know what I mean?
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, it's
wow.
like it's some savage stuff on there that people have like done to change who they are in order to get somebody else's attention because that's what they felt like they wanted.
The grown me, the healed version of me is like, what? I wish a ninja would.
I mean, but that's what people have done.
That's fair. I mean, I think I did the same thing. I remember something indirectly. I remember planning this big dinner because I wanted to go out to dinner with my crush and I didn't want to ask him directly. So I planned a big group outing and him and all his friends came. And I did it so we could talk and we could sit by each other and hang out.
Did it work?
Yeah, it worked. We actually sat by each other and I think we started dating after that.
Jesus.
I know.
Look at that.
I know. It was quick. That quick work.
Yeah.
But of course you play dumb. Like, oh, we're all going to dinner. All you guys should come. There was like a group of, I was like, all you guys should come. Like, it's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. And so I played it like that. I played dumb. And then we all went out. I made sure I looked good.
Well, I mean, that's a given. That's a given. I'm trying to think back to like a time. I don't even know if I did anything to really change.
You did.
When?
From 9th to 10th grade, you lost like 100 pounds. So you could date that girl.
That is.
Or not even to date her, but just to prove to her that you look good.
Yeah, so the story goes, that's a big one.
That's a huge one.
That's a huge one. So y'all know why I started working out? Let me tell you. So, okay, ninth grade, I at the last day of school, I asked this one girl, won't say her name. Okay. I asked this one.
Hey girl, if you're listening, thank you.
I asked this one girl, I said, I was like, yo, could I take you out on a date? Like, could we go to the movies or something?
And you were a big boy.
I was chunky. I was chunky.
Boy.
I was a size 40, like 44 waist.
Stop.
Yeah, I was a big boy.
I would have squeezed you.
And no, you wouldn't have. You wouldn't want anything to do with me. But anyway, I was like, hey, do you mind if I take you out on a date? Like, can we go to the movies? And I mean, she was like nice about it, but she was like, oh, that's cute. She was like, but no, she said, I don't date fat boys.
Ooh.
And I was like, yo, like
no one ever like said that out loud to you.
No, that hurt. That hurt a little bit. But it is what it was. So I went home. And I remember taking my bed and like pushing it up against the wall and like starting to doing push-ups like that
Stop.
day. Yeah, I couldn't do any, but I was trying to do something. I was like, okay, I gotta lose weight. And I remember I wanted to do like this master cleanse diet.
But wait, what?
I thought I would
what
lose
like switched off in your brain that said, I'm gonna start working out today?
Because I wanted her attention. I really wanted to date her.
This whole thing is about her then. This whole podcast today.
Yeah, I really wanted to date her. And then I told my mom, I was like, yo, there's this gym that's not too far from the crib. Like, if you take me up there. So I went up there and, I was up there. I was like, yeah, can I get a membership? How much does it cost? And they were like, how old are you? And I was like, oh, I'm 15. And it was like, I may have been 14 at the time. And they were like, no, you're too young. You can't do it. And so the owner was standing behind me. And so the owner came up to me. And he was like, why you want to work out in here? And I told him the story about what happened. And he was like, oh, man. He said, listen. He said, if you come up here, every day I tell you to come up here this summer. He said, if you eat everything I tell you to eat, and you do exactly what I tell you to do, he said, you can train
You
here.
didn't
He
tell
said,
me
I'll
that
train you.
story, babe.
I did tell you that story.
I don't remember
I did.
the owner coming up and saying that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and he had trained, like, it was a ton of like WCW wrestlers and stuff like that who had been in there and had signed to pay. So he was like, I'll train you. So I went up there. He's like, the first day you miss, you're done. You can't come back. I was like, okay, cool.
Oh, wow.
And so I went up there every day. He told me to go. I was eating tuna fish out of the can, like you name it. I was following instructions like crazy. I went back to school.
Come on, somebody.
I went back to school.
Come on.
I had dropped like a little over 50 pounds.
What? Over the summer?
Oh, it was bananas.
You did a master cleanse too, or no? You just did what he told you?
No, I didn't do the master. I just did what he told me to do. But I was on the Stairmaster every day for at least 30 minutes. Wow. It was crazy. So anyway, I went back to school, and he was and I saw her. And
wait, did people think you were like a new kid or something?
A lot of people thought I was a new kid. A lot of people didn't know who I was.
Stop.
They had no idea. It was like, oh, look at you. Like, who are you? And then when I would tell them who I was, they'd be like, oh, okay. Oh,
Wow.
But I saw her because I want to say she was in my homeroom or something like that. But I saw her, and I was like, yo, what's up? I was about to say her name. I was like, what's up? She was like, hey. And I was like, yeah, I'm da da da. She was like, oh my goodness. She was like, you have changed so much. And then she said, oh my goodness, you lost weight.
Mm.
And then I said,
oh gosh.
And then I looked at her and I said, looks like you found it. Because she had gotten a little heavier over the summer.
Wow. Well, all right.
And
all right, babe.
But yeah, that did happen. And we did end up going to the movies.
Wait. So
what?
She went to the movie. You never told me you guys ended up going to the movies.
Yes, I did.
Baby, I'm finding out all these new things on this podcast.
We did end up going, but we went to the movies my junior year of high school.
Okay, well, number one, I forgive you for taking out these women before me. Like, I forgive you.
Okay.
You have to ask for forgiveness.
No, I don't.
Wait, you know that trend that makes you ask for forgiveness before all the times before me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
You can go ahead.
Oh, I'm not asking you for nothing. No, you crazy. Ain't no beta.
I forgive you.
Okay.
Baby.
What?
You can still be an alpha.
And do what?
And joke.
I can joke. I can joke, but I thought you was being serious.
Babe.
What?
Really? Do you really think that I would have you apologize for dating people before me? Babe.
You did ask me one time if I would love you if you were a leaf. So I don't know where the bar
Baby,
is.
It's a joke. I was joking. And it wasn't a leaf. It was a worm. It was a worm. I was like, will you love me if I was a worm?
I was like, what the hell? Because it was like 10 o'clock at night. I was trying to go to sleep. And he was like, babe. Yeah. Would you love me if I was a worm? Oh, what?
Baby, it's a joke.
That was not a joke. That was for real.
I promise you.
We got into a whole thing over that because you were like, why would you, like, would there be any reason why you would not love me? Like, then you would go way overboard. You'd be like, well, like, what if something happened to me? And what if I got in a car accident? And what if I couldn't move? And what if you had to take care of me?
Babe, I was totally joking about the worm. Obviously, you wouldn't love me if I was a worm because you wouldn't know me. So I just want you to know I want to relieve you and release you from this. You're not a beta for joking. Okay, you can apologize. You can apologize about your past, baby.
What am I apologize for? I didn't do anything wrong.
My name is Heather, and I'm your friend. It's a safe place here. Okay.
You know I don't apologize unless I did something wrong.
Okay.
You are hilarious. But we went to the movies, but it wasn't even fun. So
it wasn't. So you guys ended up going out 2 years later.
A year.
But you were dating the other girl. So how did you end up going to the movies with this girl?
That's a whole other conversation.
You little cheater. You were cheating?
That wasn't. No, it wasn't. It
was the time you broke up with her because it was close to Valentine's Day or her birthday or Christmas.
Oh my God. You really went there.
I did.
I mean, your hypothesis is correct.
Okay.
With my girlfriend, we would break up right before Valentine's Day, right before Christmas, and right before her birthday. So that way,
it's horrible.
I wasn't on the hook for doing anything special. And then during that time, I took the other girl. We went to go to the movies, and it wasn't fun. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad, we did. Yeah, it's just what it was. And then after that, like a couple weeks later, me and my girlfriend, we got back together.
You're forgiven. You're forgiven.
You are hilarious. You are hilarious. You know what, y'all? We're going to be right back. We got a word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/Lindsey's and get on your way to being your best self.
I love therapy. Matter of fact, I need to make my little therapy appointment because I feel like my therapist gathers my life. And it's so nice to talk to somebody virtually because I'm a homebody. I don't like to leave the house.
Right.
And it's so nice, y'all. On BetterHelp, you can just log on, right? And you can get connected with a therapist. You can talk to somebody face to face, or you could turn your camera off if you don't feel like looking at nobody and connect with this therapist that can help you walk through whatever you're struggling with, whether it's stress, anxiety, worry, fear, doubt, stepping out on faith, marital issues, loneliness, whatever the case is, there's somebody right there that's available to walk through this season with you. You are not alone. And it's so important that you recognize that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very simple process. You're going to fill out a brief questionnaire. After that, they're going to hook you up with a therapist. And here's the thing. If you don't like the therapist they give you, you can switch. I mean, it's super simple. They have financial aid that's available for people.
Yeah.
We've done it. We've sent so many people through BetterHelp. I mean, and they help from just a host of different things, whether it's, sleep issues, family problems, relationship problems, all those different things. I'm telling you, BetterHelp is exactly where it is. If you think of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. So take a moment, breathe. Visit betterhelp.com/Lindsey's today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lindsey's, LINDSEYS. Y'all, don't put this off. Do it right now. BetterHelp.com/Lindsey's, LINDSEYS. Take the 10% off while it's still available. So we're back.
We're back. My husband apologized during the break. So just so you guys know, we're okay. We're in a safe place. Okay. So I just recall dating. So guys didn't really ask me out much in high school. And I felt like I was like an ugly duckling then. Like I just felt like I was like.
Because they were white? Is that why?
I don't know what it was. Well, there was a couple white boys that liked me, but it was weird. Back then, this sounds really bad, but this was like, I graduated in 2000. So back then at my school, they were just like, oh, there's one other black kid that goes to school. You guys have to be together because you're both black. And I was just like, well, I'm not attracted to him though. He wasn't my jam, right? So I just didn't get a lot of attention growing up. And then when I went to Michigan State, I was confused because I got so much attention from guys. And I was like, because you're going, mind you, 12 years, not really getting asked out. And then you get to college and all of a sudden, I just feel like I'm getting all this attention out of nowhere. And so I didn't know how to manage it. And I had like daddy issues and daddy problems. And I felt like I would conform to whatever my boyfriend wanted at the time. And I just felt like I didn't know who I was and I didn't know my identity. So I would try to change myself to please them and try to prove my worth to these guys that I was enough. You know what I mean? Which was crazy to me. And I actually did this. This sounds so bad. I remember dating somebody who told me that he was going to be a senator one day. And I was like, well, God's called me to preach and I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to do all these different things. And he was just like, well, you don't know anybody that does that stuff, that preaching stuff and writing books. Like you don't know anybody, you don't have any connections. You know what I mean? And he's like, I want you to go to grad school. He's like, I think you need to go to grad school and get some more education or something along those lines. And I just remember being like, at first I was like, well, maybe he's right. Maybe I don't know anybody in that world, in that preaching world, because I was just a volunteer at church, right? But I really felt strongly like God called me to preach. But at the same time, I was just like torn. So then I was like, okay, since I'm torn, I'm going to step out on faith. You know how we try to tie God into our confusion, and listen to this guy that God never told me to be with.
Is that why when I met you were in grad school?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I know. And
what an idiot.
I know. And guess who told me to leave grad school? My husband. So if you're listening to the podcast and not watching, he just did this thing with his hand.
Sure did. I told her to leave.
He actually told me to leave.
I was like, why are you doing this? This is stupid. You're paying money for what? For what reason?
So
you didn't even do anything with your undergrad degree. Now you're about to waste money to get a graduate degree.
Isn't that wild? So I ended up taking out student loans. Okay. And I remember every time I would make that payment, I was so bitter because I had been broken up with him. And I was so mad that I'm like still paying for that mistake. So I ended up applying for grad school. Didn't get in, and then I kept applying, and I went up there and I showed face, and I just really worked really hard to get into this school. It was a Christian school. It was like a Christian
private.
private.
Go to a Christian private grad school.
You know, I did. I went to a Christian private grad school, which was super expensive. So I ended up going there, and so I'm working a 9 to 5, and then from 6 to 9, I have class every single night. And you remember we started dating. I would call you after class on my way home.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Right. So mind you, I had a 4.0 first semester, and I'm working hard in disobedience, right? And mind you, by the time I'd started grad school, me and the boy broke up. So I'm up here in grad school because this man told me I need more degrees. And I remember telling, like, the teachers would teach stuff, and I'd be like, that's not biblical. Like, that's not accurate. Remember, we'd have those conversations? Mm-hmm. And so the teacher would, I remember one teacher came up to me afterward and was like, you're right. How'd you know that? And I was like, I just study my Bible. I mean, I don't know. And so I remember praying and being like, God, because you told me to leave grad school. You're like, why are you there? And I was like, well, let me go ask the Lord. So I went and spent time with God that night.
You didn't have to. I already told you.
Right. So I went and spent time, but you're just my boyfriend. And my ex-boyfriend is how I got into this situation. So I'm trying to get clarity from Jesus. So I went to the Lord and I said, God, do you want me to do this? And he said, I never told you to sign up in the first place. And I was like, dang. So I done took out all these student loans. Me and the man broke up literally months after I got into grad school.
Trash.
And now here I am. I met you, and then you're like, why are you at that stupid school? You need to leave.
Like, it's dumb.
So then I unenrolled and I paid off the student loans because I was bitter every time I got that payment or that bill every month. I was like, ooh, I just need to be done with this and release him and it and everything. So here I am changing like who I am to get somebody to think that I'm enough. And one of the things I loved about you is when we first met, I told you, I was almost afraid to tell you what God called me to do because anybody else didn't believe it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you were the only person that had ever just like supported it. And you were like, that's amazing. That's great. God's called me to do similar things too. And I was like, well, great. And you were like, well, if you're called to preach, like you just need to go do it. And I remember after and I remember just feeling so happy, like, oh my gosh, he actually didn't try to change what I believe God called me to be. I told you I want to be an entrepreneur and you're like, great, that's awesome. I told you I wanted to preach and write books and you're like, great, do it. Like, just do it. I remember we got married. We're a few months into our marriage and you started something called Telechurch. Mm-hmm. and you asked me to preach one night and I said, I've never preached before. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do this. And you said, nope, the Holy Spirit teaches you all things. Go ahead. You'll be fine. And I remember sitting and remember I went to the bathroom like 100 times that day before I preached because I was so nervous. I was like shaking in my boots, literally. But I was so thankful that you didn't try to change me, that you didn't try to, make me to be something that I wasn't.
Right.
Something else you did, which is a little opposite, but you used to want me to dress more clothed. But I didn't. So. Because at that point I said, I don't change myself.
That's not entirely accurate. So I wanted, back then, I was like, yo, I want to get you a St. John's dress with some pearls or something like that.
I don't wear no pearls.
She was like, I'm not wearing pearls. She's like, St. John's dresses are for old women. And I was like, oh, no, I think they're very classy. So back then it was like, I was on this whole classy kick. But also that was because I felt like that's who I needed to be. And that's what I was around. I was around a bunch of older people who dressed in, their wives dressed in St. John's dresses.
And they were all
like 70 and 80 years old.
I'm like, I'm 20.
I'm like, I thought this is what it's supposed to be. I didn't really know who I was.
Yeah.
And I was still conforming. Like, I'm working for a church. I feel like I need to conform for these people to like me. I'm meeting you. And I feel like I had to conform for you to like me. And I'm just like, I remember the only time, or one of the only times before I got ready to really conform was our first date. My boss, he looked at me, he said, I want you to go in the thing, get some money, get some cash out of the drawer. He said, I want you to go downstairs, go to our money exchange, actually, blah, 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 and tell him to get you ready from head to foot. He was like, because you dress a mess. That's what he said. And I went and I tried on all this stuff and I was getting ready to pay for it. And I said, you know what? No, I'm not doing that. I remember going back upstairs and I said, hey, I didn't buy any clothes. And he was like, oh, why didn't you buy any clothes? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, because I want her to just know me for me. And he was like, so you're going to go out there with that old Navy shirt on. That
and the Aeropostale jeans.
And Aeropostale jeans and the Y on the old Navy shirt. I'd washed it so many times the Y had come off. So it was just old Nav. and I was like, yeah. So I put some of the cash back, not all of it, because I still need to pay for dinner. And then I went and I met you. And I was like, you know what? I want her to just like me for me. And I remember my boss, he was like, that's stupid. He said, that's the dumbest thing I heard for in my life. He's like, you need to put your best foot forward when you first meet her. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to give her false expectations. Like, this is just who I am. I don't really have all that much. Like, this is just me. And I remember, being that. But my hope is that, throughout all of this, people are starting to see that you need to change who you are.
Yeah.
In order for you to be accepted by somebody else. Yeah.
It's expensive emotionally, mentally, physically, in every single way. I got student loans. I need to send him that bill.
And here's the thing, y'all. Like, belonging is about being accepted for who you are. Fitting in is about being accepted for who other people want you to be. And anytime you get into a situation where you are forced to fit in, especially in relationships, those aren't your relationships. Those aren't your friends.
That's not your person.
That's not your person. When you find people who love you for you and who see you for who you are, they don't judge you, they don't condemn you, they don't shame you. They just see you for who you are. You're human. Boom, 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 boom. Y'all click for who you are.
Yeah.
That's great. But if you ever get into a situation where you feel like you need to conform in order to be somebody else to fit in, those not your people. That's not your clique. That's not your crowd. Don't do it.
No, that's real. That makes me think about like parents though, that want their kids to be doctors or want their kids to be accountants or want their kids to be this specific things. Like that pressure because you want to please especially certain cultures, like I know Nigerian cultures like that. There's many cultures that are like that where they really struggle because they're just like, I'm so used to conforming to my parents, conforming to my friends, conforming to, the person I'm in a relationship with. I don't even know who I am. Mm-hmm. And it's so important that you start to stand up for yourself and love yourself and know who you are so you can actually say, no, I don't like that. Like, no, I actually don't like that. I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm going to do.
And it's not what I'm going to do.
I've had to stand up to family members before and say, no, that's not what I'm doing. This is a boundary that I have. This is obviously a conversation we can't have because we don't agree. And it's okay. We'll agree on many things, but we just don't agree on this.
Yeah.
And so it's so important that you start standing up for yourself and what you actually like and who you are. There's times where even with Taylor, I see a little bit of people pleasing in Taylor, not with her friends. She will call her friends out in 2.5 seconds flat. But with adults, with teachers, she wants to please everybody. Mm-hmm. She told me in the car yesterday on the way home from school, she said, I'm a people pleaser. And I said, let's reel that back in. Let's reel that back in. And I was just explaining to her, like, you don't want to lose who you are trying to please everybody else and put yourself. She's like, but it's good to put other people first. I said, okay, we got to put some boundaries to that. It's good that you're thoughtful and you want to help out your teacher and all that's fine. But if you start to lose who you are and lose yourself,
you've lost the whole thing. Exactly.
You're going to lose the whole thing. And that's not what we want. So I've been teaching Taylor to unapologize, we were in, I think I shared this before, we were in Cabo and I forgot what it was, but I wanted to sit inside. No, I want to sit outside. Taylor wanted to sit inside. And then Taylor apologized because she knew I wanted to sit outside. And I said, why are you apologizing for what you want? You want to sit inside the restaurant because of the bugs. She's just like you, babe, in that way. And she's just like, I was like, unapologize. I'm like, unapologize. I was like, that's what you want. It's okay to say what you want.
And to get what you want. It's okay. And I love that. I think that, you're doing a great job in teaching Taylor that. But again, y'all, like, learn to unapologize for being who you are. Mm-hmm. Like, to have your standards, have your boundaries, have all that kind of stuff. And again, you want to be in spaces where you belong, where you don't have to fit in. But we love y'all so much, man. God bless y'all. Introduces. We out this piece. Bye.